On Saturday, the Seattle Kraken played their 100th NHL game. Congrats, Seattle. Here's to many more. If we look at the all-time number of games played for National League teams, we get anything from the nigh 7,000 games of the Canadiens to the 100 of the Kraken. But if we include defunct teams, it starts to get wild. We get monstrosities like the Calgary Cowboys, the Toronto Toros, the other Pittsburgh Pirates, and the son we hope shall one day return, the Hamilton Tigers. These guys are in the hundreds of games played, good for a few seasons. The all-time leading scorer for the Pirates is a guy named Hib Milks. But look closer. Closer. Yes, your eyes aren't deceiving you. In the record books, there exists a team that played in one game. This does not compute. Teams can have a smaller number of games due to going bankrupt in one season like the Denver Spurs, or rebrands after one season like the Ottawa Nationals. But one game? That's not even a cup of coffee. That's like a single heartbeat. A burp. It serves no function at all. It has absolutely no consequence for any possible outcome of a professional hockey league season. So why on earth did it happen? And it wasn't some fluke from the chaotic infancy of organized sport, back when people thought radios were of the devil. This game was played in 1979. The first home computers were around. This was not an exhibition game, it was not a charity event, it wasn't nothing. This game counts. It is 100% real. Who is this one-game team? Did a Jeff Bezos type try his hand at assembling a hockey team just to say he could? Are they the flight of fancy of a mad plutocrat? Or did some guys just decide to be a team? Nobody remembers them, so maybe they had a really old-timey or innocuous name. The Ontario Skaters? The Binghamton Lacer-Uppers? The Cleveland Hornswogglers? Who were you, little team? Your eyes are still not deceiving you. Again, this was a real game. On March 20th, 1979, the Finland national team flew halfway across the only habitable planet in the known universe to play Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers. Now you may say, that's not the NHL, that's the WHA. To which I say, if there's a guy named Wayne Gretzky playing on a team called the Edmonton Oilers, it's basically the NHL. In '79, the WHA was in serious trouble. The Houston Aeros went out of business before the season started, leaving only 7 teams. That's not cataclysmic, but then the Indianapolis Racers folded mid-season after 25 games, so the league had to fill the now empty schedule spots. So they brought in some other national teams as they did for prior seasons. But as you may have noticed, the Racers folded after an odd number of games. That odd game out left the Edmonton Oilers without an opponent. And this would be the last season the WHA would exist. I guess it decided it wasn't going out without giving the world one last reminder of what made it so awesome. The middle finger of chaos. So it rang up Finland. But why them? Finland isn't even sure where its own name comes from. Finland is the definition of doing their own thing. But I guess when you're perfectly successful doing your own thing, you can send your national team to do whatever they want. These absolute heroes had some of the best names ever. Seppo Ahokainen, Petty Lehtinen, Tomi Taimio, Ismo Villa, Juha Jyrkio, and my personal favorite, Seppo Repo. And out of all 20 players who laced him up that day, only 3 played even a single actual game in the WHA or NHL. First up, my absolute boy, Seppo Repo. He only had 1 WHA season on his card. Oh well. He played in 80 games on a pretty bad Phoenix Roadrunners team, but he was actually pretty good. 29 goals, 31 assists for 60 points, and only 10 penalty minutes all season. But it was from 2 years prior. He was out of North America for 2 years just to be dragged back to get destroyed by the greatest hockey player of all time. But his name was Seppo Repo, so I'm sure he was fine. Second is Matty Hagman, who sounds like a character from Mean Girls. He suited up for 290 professional games in North America, all of which sandwiched this one particular game. With 191 points, he had himself a tidy little career. He was also the first Finn to play in the NHL. Good stuff. But guess what? Of all these players who played in one utterly abandoned island of a game that had no meaning to them in any way, one of them is an NHL Hall of Famer. The number of NHL games he had played to that point, 0. Arguably the greatest Finn to ever lace him up at 18 years young, the one and only Jari Kurri, a 17-year veteran of the NHL who scored 1,398 points and won 5 Stanley Cups, playing the team he would eventually be drafted by. I need a drink. The actual game was just a game. The Oilers won 8-4, which is the most 80s score ever. Finland came all the way over the Atlantic to plug a hole in a sinking, doomed league and got lit up for their troubles. And they never played another game in the NHL or WHA again. So, Wayne Gretzky holds the Oilers franchise record for points with 1,773. Yoni Rinne holds the Finland franchise record for points with 2. This game had everything, and it had nothing. It had goats and literal nobodies. It was the oddest appearance of a hockey team in North America there may have ever been. I'm gonna go lie down now. A week later, 3 Mile Island would melt down.